Chat lords, my loves, how's everybody doing today? Was I muted though? Was I muted, chat? All right. Welcome to another Healthy Gamer GG stream. My name is Alok Kanoji. Just a reminder that although I am a psychiatrist, nothing we discuss on stream today is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is intended to be for entertainment and educational purposes only. And if y'all have a concern or a question, please go see a licensed professional. So today we're going to have some fun chat. We're going to, I don't know if it's actually fun, but today we're going to try to understand a little bit about the experience of someone from our community. So we've got someone from our community who has spent a fair amount of energy, time, and money in dating coaching. And so I presume they're not happily married at this point, but who knows? So we're just going to talk to them and try to understand a little bit about what their experience of life is like. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Sound good? So let me grab my stuff, and we're actually just going to hop into a call. So let me set that up. And I understand that this person, I think, is from a different part of the planet. And so hopefully this timing will be a little bit more convenient for them. So let's hop into a call. There we go. That does work. Hello. Oh, hold on. Say something. Count to 10 for me. Okay, yeah. Keep counting. Hold on. Again? Again? Keep going.
17, 21.
I think you're counting fine. It's on my end. Try again.
1, 4, 6.
One more time.
12, 14.
And I'm getting just, I think it's actually my little dock. Hold on a second. Let me see if this works. Try now.
1, 3.
Oh, yeah. That works great, but the problem is actually with my...
And out.
Just keep counting for me.
Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 12, 13, 15.
Are y'all hearing it clear? I'm wondering if... Okay, yeah, so it's not necessarily on my end. I wonder if... So let's try this. So let me try this. I wonder if it's the server that we're actually trying to use. Because you're... Let me see if I can change our server.
Is it? What do you... Yeah. No.
It's choppy, right, chat? You're in somewhere down under, is that right? Okay, so I wonder if, let's try changing our server. So what's like between us? Let's try this. Try now?
3, 4.
Okay.
5.
Can you check your Discord mic settings for voice activity?
Yeah.
We'll get there, chat.
So, are you a mic? How's that? Is that better?
That's way better.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that works great.
Put away my fancy mic and use my laptop.
All right, well, let's do that then. That's what you get for using a fancy mic. Okay, let me just change our overlay. And, oh, hold on. This is, so let's try give me 1 second. Okay, we're going to do this. Do this. We'll get there, chat. All right, got it. Okay. Oh, no. Now I have to resize. Give me just a second. On the upside, thankfully, the team here at HG has taught me how to do these things. There we go. I think this should be, let's move you over a little bit. Crop a little bit. Okay. I think we got this. Yay. All right, my friend. Welcome.
Great. How's it going?
Good, dude. How are you?
I'm great.
And what do you go by, my friend?
Ish.
Ish?
Yeah.
And so what are we talking about today, Ish?
We're talking about dating, and we're talking about, I guess I just wanted to share my perspective on yeah, I guess like somebody who's like been sold this idea that, if you do XYZ, then like women are gonna flock to you. I guess I spent the large part of basically my whole life feeling like there's something wrong with me and I need to fix myself. And I've been on this like decade-long journey of like fixing myself. And I'm like fixing one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And I'm like, now I'm like 32 and I'm still like lonely and I'm still single and I'm just like confused. And I've tried literally everything under the sun to fix things externally. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, maybe the problem is not external. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, how can I say this? My first thought is like, that sounds tiring.
Exhausting. Yeah.
What's that like?
It's like this constant, like, internal drive to be uh, enough and just trying to do everything possible to just be enough. And yeah, like I wake up every day and I'm just like, what can I fix today? Like, why am I not enough? Why am I still lonely? I feel like I have a lot of things in life that, I have a lot of things going for me, and I just can't. It kind of externally, I feel like, yeah, I can see why I have a lot of things going for me, but internally, I still feel like a lot of like self-loathing and a lot of yeah, I just don't have a sense of self, like of self-worth, regardless of all these external accomplishments that I've been able to have in my life. Like it kind of just means nothing because all I really want is like intimacy and connection, and I just don't have that in my life, and just confused as to how to like find that.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry you're in that situation. I'm sorry I'm grinning. You just seem like such an amazing dude.
Thank you. And I guess that's part of I guess that's part of why I'm confused because I guess when I share like my struggles with dating or whatever to people, I guess that I get invalidated because they're like, well, you're so handsome and you're so like intelligent, you're like so funny, and like they rattle off all these things about me, and I'm like, I get it. I see it cognitively, like intellectually. Maybe if I wasn't myself, I'd be like, okay, why is this guy struggling with dating? But I guess I'm just carrying a lot of shame and things inside of me, which make me unable to access feeling of like I'm worth something. So it's just been confusing to me.
Okay. Is it okay if I just start off by like asking you a couple questions about your background? And it sounds like you've been on this journey for 10 years. Can we learn a little
Yeah,
bit about that? Like,
sure.
what have you been up to? Like, it sounds like you fixed a lot of stuff externally. So,
Yeah.
what did you fix and how?
I guess I think the things that was plaguing me since childhood was like social anxiety. So, like I had to move out of my parents' home like maybe like 10 years ago. I moved countries. I knew like one person in the country I moved to, and I kind of wanted to start this journey of like, being independent and like
Good for you, man.
fixing things for myself. And yeah, so social anxiety was the first thing I fixed. And I guess I found self-improvement, self-help, and just started reading book after book after book and consuming YouTube and blah, blah, blah. And I guess a lot of that was like mental masturbation, but also some of it was like I put into action certain things, I guess like exposing myself to things I'm scared of, like progressively overloading and to the point where, okay, like I can now string a coherent sentence without having panic attacks and like I can now talk to people without, you know, feeling like intense physical sensations. And and then after that, I was like, okay, I'm like,
Ish, can I jump in for a second? What does it
sure,
feel like to say that?
right now.
Yeah. What does it feel like to talk about your progress?
Honestly, I feel proud of myself, and I don't think I've ever felt that before. And it's been recent that I'm like actually noticing that I have a lot of things to be proud of.
So there's a big difference between having a lot of things to be proud of and being proud of them.
Yeah, it's true.
And where are you right now?
Yeah, right. I have a lot of things to be proud of. Like I can make a list of things, but I can't feel it.
Mm-hmm. But so when I was asking you about, what you've accomplished, did you feel some pride?
At the time, probably not because it was just like there's still a lot of things wrong with me, so I got to keep going, got to keep fixing myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like okay, now social anxiety is ticked off the list. Now I need to like go to the gym, got to get ripped,
Okay.
got to like get a good body, going down that path, and then like I got to make money, and then going down that path, and then it's like I got to start a business, and then going down that path, and it's like all these different things that like I'm just like, okay, how can I? And just being sold that idea that like money, looks, status, like get all these things and be the most high value man, all that bullshit, and it's just like doing all of that and still not feeling like I'm valuable, and it's just weird.
What are you feeling right now?
I actually don't know what I'm feeling right now.
Okay. So you said that then you started working on the gym, right? And
Yeah.
it sounds like you got in shape, and what was that experience like for you?
Again, I think I was just doing it for not for myself, but for like external validation or been sold, I guess just being like, oh, like if I get into shape, once I get into shape, then I can be worthy of like woman or like worthy of respect or whatever. So even though I was like like getting into shape, it just didn't feel like again, it was just like I need to get bigger or I need to like lose more body fat and yeah, it just felt like it was a chore. I just felt like I don't even know why I'm doing this, but apparently I have to be a high value man and this is what they do. So Yeah.
Okay. Um, and then what about the whole making money career stuff? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I mean, I got into programming. I've been into programming since a young age, so I never really thought much about like what I wanted to do. It's just something that I just fell into. Um, and yeah, just kind of just kept going, and I just kept like chasing money, even though there was a certain point where I was like, I don't even enjoy this, but because I was just, I guess, pretty depressed and like I just didn't know, like I didn't really care. I just wanted to just kind of survive. But there was this like lucrative aspect of it where I was just like, oh, I can just keep like making more money and more money and more money. And then the my whole like I guess intention to make money was to like fix myself so I can like make money and then like figure out how to fix myself even more. So like that was pretty much why I wanted to make money to like figure out what's wrong with me and like throw money at that. And yeah, and I kind of like got to a place where I'm like in the top percentage of like income earners in the country and like it still didn't feel like anything because I just still felt broken inside. I'm still like none of this shit means anything. And I guess the more money I made, the more like negative emotion I felt because I was like convincing myself that if I made more, then like I could be happier or like I could like spend money on things to fix myself. And then it just became like this thing where yeah, I was just used like spending money to get rid of these negative emotions and
And,
develop yeah.
and keep going.
Yeah, just develop like I guess like addictions to things like buying random stuff that I don't need and like just uh again like addiction to like self-improvement, self-help, just like learning, buying courses and like paying for like mentorship and coaches and blah 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 and like yeah.
Um, and what has that experience been like? What are you feeling now?
I just feel uh I just feel like it's just like kind of ridiculous for me, like just looking back at like everything that I kind of did. I just feel it's ridiculous, yeah.
What's ridiculous about it?
I don't know. I just wish like at the start of this journey, someone just told me like I should just go to therapy and just spend money on therapy and just like do that. And I think I would have been all right.
And have you tried therapy?
I have, yeah. I, again, like that whole journey was like I didn't have great experiences with like early on uh, like exposure to like mental health professionals. So like I would like seek it out and also where I live, like there's like a shortage of mental health professionals. So like it's kind of like I seek like even like when I'm in like a really depressed state, like even picking up the phone, making phone calls difficult. So like even asking for help or admitting that I need help was like really difficult. And then I got over that step and then I like asked for help and then be like, oh, like the waiting list is like 8 months. So like we'll put you on the waiting list. And I'll be like, okay, like I guess I need to fix myself then. Like I can't rely on someone else. So it'd be like in and out of trying to seek professional help and then being like, oh, like let's try like a spiritual route. And I actually let's try self-help books. And then I guess I would go to like mental health professionals and then I'd get diagnosed with a bunch of different things. Um, and then I'd get like medicated and then I'd try like a cocktail of medications and then some would work, some wouldn't work, some would be like effective short term and then some would be give me side effects and then like I would just keep trying that over the years. Like, okay, maybe this diagnosis is right. Maybe I can try this. mood stabilizer.
You try really hard, don't you, Ish?
I try really hard. Yeah.
I'm curious, who can you rely on?
Myself.
I'm seeing that. Um, so, and can you tell us a little bit about kind of this, like, the mentorship, throwing money at the problem? What did that look like, and what was that like for you?
Um, well, the first 5 years were just kind of like, I guess, mental masturbation. Like, just I would have like this, I
Did you
guess,
say mental masturbation or mentor masturbation?
mental masturbation.
AL.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what does that mean?
That just means like, I guess, spending money on things and like, I guess, buying courses online. Like, for example, like how to pick up women or something like that, or like how to build a drop shipping company. Like just buying these things and like going through them but not doing anything with it.
Okay.
And that would be like first 5 years of just doing that. And I guess it served some like this intellectual curiosity of like not even intellectual curiosity, but I guess feeling like I was improving myself with like knowledge, like learning stuff, but not doing anything with it. And then the last 5 years was kind of like, okay, like the problem that I wanted to fix now was like loneliness. So like, how do I fix that? And then there's one half in there which is like invalidating my loneliness, and then there's certain pockets of the internet where like I know exactly how you feel. I know how to fix it. And that's enter like the world of like dating coaching and like pickup artistry. And yeah, kind of like I knew that like some of the stuff was shady, and I knew like maybe this was not helpful, but I was curious about it and I was like lonely. I was like didn't really have any other alternatives options. So I explored that, and again, like trying different things. I'd go to like boot camps, and then I would like learn certain things, and then there'd be the intellectual part of me which is like, oh, this is not working, or like, and then maybe there's like another approach. So I'd like do like multiple approaches and like compare all of them, and then like it's just like a mess. So it's kind of like I've just learned, I've like had this database of like information in my head of like, I guess, this problem of like loneliness or like solving my dating issues. And now it's like realizing it's all a bunch of bullshit, and I'm just trying to unlearn everything that I've learned,
Okay.
essentially. So,
And can
yeah.
you tell me, so you mentioned earlier that there was, like, a lot of investment without application. And
Mhm.
in terms of, like, the dating stuff and relationship stuff, I mean, have you tried to apply it, or is that sort of remained somewhat kind of theoretical and in the database?
Yeah. So in the last 5 years, I've been applying it.
And what's that been
Um,
like?
it's kind of just been what it's been like is like I kind of learned to create this like mask of like how to present like project these like qualities of myself and project like a false confidence and project like a bravado. Um, and I was like attracting women, and I was like sleeping with a lot of women. And I thought like that would like increase my self-worth. So like finally like damn, I used to be an incel, now I'm getting like laid a lot. Um, but then the thing was like I felt like even more lonely and isolated because now I've learned that like the real me whoever that is unattractive, and like women only like this mask that I'm putting on. And I'm happy that like I didn't get too deep into that. Like I learned, like I guess after a certain period of like doing this over and over again. Like the first time was cool. The first time of like implementing this thing and like getting laid was cool, but then like you just keep doing it. It's just like at what point, like, and how many women, or like at what point will I become confident, or will I like increase my self-worth? So yeah, so I like kind of learned that like the mask was attractive, and I wasn't whoever I was. And like I guess now in the last few years I've been slowly trying to lower that and be myself and be vulnerable. And um maybe nowadays, like in the past year or so, it's been overcorrecting in the other way, which is like maybe I'm like being too vulnerable, like oversharing too much, and that's causing people to be like, yo, that's too much. So it's just
What
confusing.
what can you give us an example of that?
An example of what?
Oversharing and people are like, "Yo, bro, that's too much."
That's just in my head, but I guess there was like a woman that I went on a date with maybe, yeah, uh, the end of last year, and I really felt connected to her more than any other girl that I've been on a date with in the last few years. And at this point, I've been on like almost at least 100 dates, and a lot of them have been first dates, and I don't get many second dates or third dates. But anyways, like so I went on a date with this girl, and I guess we were talking about like childhood traumas and stuff on like a first date, which is I don't know if that was like trauma bonding or that's like whatever. So in hindsight, it kind of felt too intense too soon, and like she ended up ghosting me, and I guess that was like um that was damaging to me because I guess like I was like, okay, I've lowered this mask and I finally revealed myself, and still I get like ghosted, and I'm just like I don't know what else to do. It's like she's rejected the real me, and so like it takes me a while to like recover from those situations, dating experiences. Like I would like go back and work on myself for like a few months, and I'd like get in this really good state of like my routine, like journaling, meditation, going to the gym, and like yoga, and like I just feel like super good about myself, and I'd be like, yes, I'm ready to date, and I'd go on a date, and then I would just not hear from the girl, get ghosted after the first date, and then I'd be like, oh fuck this, and then it would just be another it's just like the cycle that just like never ends.
I think we're seeing a little bit of lag.
Yeah, I saw
Okay,
you lagging a
okay.
little bit.
I think we're fine. Um, so, what's your understanding of why there aren't many second dates or third dates?
That's the question that I can't answer. And I guess like the people that know the answer is like the dating coaches, or like, and then each dating coach would have their own like interpretation of why that is, and then one would have their own like methodology and formula of like how to run a date, and like this is what to do, this is what not to do, and what to say, it's not what to say. And then another dating coach would have a different opinion. And like honestly, I don't know. And it's bemusing to a lot of people when I express it. Um, and the only people that would know is like the woman that I go on dates with. And I sometimes I like something I've been doing recently is like asking for feedback. And I guess you have to take that with a lot of salt because people don't want to hurt your feelings. And I think sometimes some of the feedback has been good, like I guess things like like you weren't making enough eye contact, or like the date felt like an interview. And I'm like, okay, cool, like I can improve those things. And then other times it's been vague, like I don't feel a romantic connection, which is weird because the woman that said that to me like kissed me on the date, like she initiated the kiss and stuff like that. So it's just weird. And then the last girl I went on a date with, like, um, we were like met on a dating app. She was like flirting with me, and she initiated me to get off the app, and then like flirting like for a week over text. I asked her out, went on a date, and then I thought the date went really well. And love to see you again. She's like, yeah, I'd love that too. And then I text her the next day or the day after. I'd be like, hey, when are you down to like hang out again? And then I don't hear from her for a few days, and then she's like, hey. So I've just been thinking, I'm just not into dating at the moment, but I think you're a really inspirational guy, and I'd love to be friends with you. And I'm
And
just
love to be
like,
what with you?
I'd love to hang out with you again as friends. And
Friend
so
zone.
I'm just like, yeah. So then that's the first time that's happened to me, but it's kind of like I'm an inspirational guy, which is the biggest backhanded compliment I've ever received. But like, so yeah, confused, and that's kind of like what prompted me to like express myself and just being like, I don't know what's going on, but I guess now that I've kind of explored therapy again, and I think I finally found like a therapist that I click with and a form of therapy that I resonate with. And I think the answer for now, the working answer is complex PTSD, which kind of like leaks out in ways that people can detect. And that is why I, yeah, can't seem to form relationships or get second dates beyond just like the initial, oh, this guy's attractive, this guy's amazing on paper, but then there's something not right. Like, what's not? Maybe that's a story in my head as well that people can detect. I don't know.
I have kind of a weird question.
Yeah, sure.
Do you protect other people from yourself?
Yes.
What do you think
Yeah.
that's a help me understand? I don't even know what the fuck the question meant. What did but you have an answer and you seem pretty confident.
I have an answer, yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I protect people from my darkness in that I have suicidal thoughts all the time. I have like very dark emotions that come out of nowhere, and I have no idea what they're about, where they come from. I guess the diagnosis that I've received for that is like bipolar 1, bipolar 2, bipolar 3, cyclothymia. And all of those didn't really make sense. So it's kind of like I would have phases where all of a sudden I'd go from like cheerful and like happy to just like this deep dark depression for no reason. And I protect myself, to protect other people from that because I don't, I feel like I have a lot of friends. I have good friends. I'm grateful when I have family, people I can rely on and trust to talk to about these things, but it's like a heavy burden for them and to like put on them all the time, be like, so that's I protect people from that.
Okay. So, let's ask a couple more questions.
Sure.
So, let's say you meet someone and you really like them.
Mhm.
Should they date you?
Yes or no?
Good. What's the yes? What's the no?
The yes is I think I'm kind. I think uh I think I'm curious. I'm really interested in people, getting to know people. Um, I will text you back. Um, I will organize dates, and I'm down to do romantic shit. And I people, women complain about emotionally unavailable men, but like I'm emotionally over available. So like I'm here. If you want to talk about emotions, I'm here. Um, yeah, I guess makes me dateable.
Sure.
Um,
I think there are many things about you that are very dateable.
Thank you. Um, no, what makes me undateable is, yeah, mental health and my emotional instability, and yeah, just this feeling of terror that's like just takes over me sometimes, and just unsure why or what that's about. And I guess there'd be moments where when I'm with a woman and we're on a date, and then they'd be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'd be like, I I would have to lie about that sometimes. So I don't myself know what's wrong. I just the only explanation I have is just certain situations trigger memories from childhood, and like that's why I guess I get like emotional flashbacks or whatever. I just learned that term a couple of days ago, but I guess that's what's happening, and now I'm becoming more and more aware of these things. Yeah,
You seem like a good guy-ish. Are you a good guy?
I think so.
Yeah. So, like, let's say you liked someone. Is it a good idea for them to date you?
If they have the emotional bandwidth to handle my intensity, and if they are empathic enough to like support me on just yeah, this whatever's going on in my head, which I'm very confused by sometimes.
Do you test them?
Not consciously.
Okay. What? But totally get that. What do you think?
Mm,
Unconsciously, yay, nay?
probably,
Okay. Because I mean,
possibly.
I had kind of one thought, which is that so you seem competent, right? Like you seem like you learn things and like you know how to improve things, and you kind of like you're very good at. I don't mean this in like a dating way, but like playing the game, right? So you know how to like move towards. You can put forth a lot of intentionality and effort and get to where you want to go.
Mm.
And so you've done that over and over and over again, except for this one thing, which then kind of begs the question. One is, oh my God, I can't get to where I want to go. This is the one problem that's unsolvable. Or, and that sounds kind of weird, maybe you're actually just as good at this as you are at everything else. And where you want to go with this is exactly where you're winding up. What do you think about that?
Help me understand that last part, like where I want
Yeah,
to
it's
be.
kind of bizarre. And I think there's a part of me that wonders, are you like so kind that when you go on a date with someone, and if you really like them, like you want to protect them from having a relationship with you?
Sometimes, yeah.
So, I mean, I wonder if some of this is just like the reason you have difficulty getting second and third dates is because you're a very effective communicator and you kind of like know how to keep that from happening. Not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying that consciously you intend otherwise, but it just makes me wonder. What do you think?
When you say effective communicator, um, and I don't want that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Uh, so I'm kind of like I think there's a lot more that we can talk about. I don't know that this is spot on, but so when there's someone like ish, just think for don't think too much about this question, right? Like,
Okay.
should someone date you? Is it a good idea?
Sometimes.
Good, right? So that shows the work that you've put in. But that it took some work to get to sometimes, right?
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
were like, then, and so there's a part of me that's like, I kind of, I can see a really tricky situation. I don't know if it's actually what's happening. Where the more that you connect with a girl, the more that you actually want them, the more that you care about them, the more you realize, you know what, you're probably better off with someone else. And I don't think it's conscious. But I think it's tricky because if you're like genuinely a good person and you genuinely care about people and you try to protect them, like the best solution is like, don't date me. Does that resonate with you at all?
I think so. I think at either at a subconscious level, yeah. I think if I'm like, yeah, I think the woman that I was talking about that I really connected with last time, she expressed to me that like she used to date like a famous musician or something, and like that really triggered me because I was like, what is she doing on a date with me? She can like literally date anybody. That was one of my first thoughts. And then I guess after the date, during the date, we were talking about like gender norms and stuff, and like I noticed that she said that. I was like, she noticed. I noticed she said something like, I like initiating things sometimes. So then at the end of the date, she's like, I had a great time, and then like, it was an amazing date, and I was like, um, oh, maybe you should initiate the second date. Like maybe you should plan the second date. And she was like, yeah, I'd love that. And like, text me. And I think, yeah, for 4 days, like I didn't text her because I was expecting her to set up the date and text me. And maybe that was a way for me to protect myself against getting hurt, getting rejected. And maybe subconsciously, I was like, don't date me.
I, yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's an interesting idea. That just seemed. There's so many other variables there.
Mhm.
I so for like second dates and third dates, what happens after that?
I don't go on many second dates.
What happens after your first date?
Most often it's just like I would text them again, like if hey, love to see you again, I had a good time, and either I'd get ghosted, uh, or I would just be like, hey, I wasn't feeling it, or just some variation of just some pleasantry. And then most recently, friend zone, which is like a new one. And yeah,
Do you have fun during dates?
sometimes.
A lot of sometimeses.
Yeah, honestly, like I think the because I would say like the first 20 or 30 dates that I've been on in my life, like it was really like exposure therapy for me. Like I'm just doing this to like I'm socially anxious. So I just want to like literally just sit here and like have like a 5 minute conversation, then a 10 minute. I was doing that, right? So it's like my flight or flight response was just like triggered during dates. And the
Wow, that's
first,
really impressive, dude.
thank you.
That you could do that. That sounds really hard.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess my early dating experiences were just that, like exposure therapy. And like I would say that I wasn't really having all that much fun because I was just like in this like hyper vigilant state. Um, and recently my dating experiences have just been like, I guess going through this the toxic dating pickup stuff would be like getting an outcome. So it'd be like the outcome is getting laid. Like the whole thing is, and I guess it makes sense from a marketing perspective because it's like do this course and you'll get laid. Like there's an outcome. It needs to have an outcome. Otherwise, I wouldn't buy into it. So it would be like, yeah, I'm going on these dates and I'm doing this like playbook of like things to do, like things to say, and like how to like escalate physically, and then like how long to spend on a day before you like invite the girl home, and then like do this and like have sex like this, and then this what it's like this whole formula, and I'm like doing it, going through the motions, and I'm just like, this is just stupid. But like at the same time, I don't really know. This is the only thing that kind of like works, quote unquote. So I'm just like, let's just keep doing this. And the more I do it, the more I did it, the more empty I felt. I realized like I wasn't really having fun, but at least I was getting laid, so that's better than like jerking off. So, but I realized I'm just like masturbating with another person. So it actually didn't make me feel any better.
Yeah, I think that's very insightful. How are you feeling now?
I don't really know, honestly. Like,
Hmm.
I feel a lot of different things, but I don't really know if there's one thing I can pinpoint.
Yeah, what are you feeling? What are the different things?
I feel I feel like this is like kind of surreal that I'm talking to you. Like that's probably like the overwhelming feeling. It's like discovering you and just like kind of like fanboying over you. And I'm like, now I'm talking to you. It doesn't feel real. Um, so that's kind of like, yeah, that's probably the main thing I'm feeling. And
Shit.
why is
Well,
that?
we got to get past that. I mean, you know, I guess we're lag
Okay,
spike for a second. Um, I was gonna say like we gotta get past that and get to the actual stuff. Like,
okay, sure.
I mean, which I guess maybe I'm not helping, but I don't. Yeah. Okay. So can I think for a second?
Sure,
Maybe more than a second ish.
sure.
Do you have friends who are women?
I not in real life, but I have relationships with my cousins, like pretty good relationships, and they're women.
Okay. And it sounds like you had somewhat of a rough childhood or something, right? Because you mentioned CPTSD.
Yes.
Um, are you comfortable telling us about the impact of that? You don't have to go into detail, but I'm curious, like, what. So you said that 10 years ago you started this journey of fixing yourself. And what I'm curious about is where did you get the idea that you're broken?
Um, yeah, I guess just emotional, verbal, physical abuse when growing up. Um, feeling a little bit of like, not a little bit, but like body dysmorphia as well. Learning that like my face is deformed in some way. I'm picking that up from, yeah, people around me. Uh, being bullied and just being feeling like I'm just quiet and I don't talk much, and that means there's something defective about me. Overwhelmingly, that's kind of like what I felt. Also, like I'm like a black sheep of the family, just this weird kid in the corner, doesn't say much, doesn't have much to say, just hyper vigilant. I think, yeah, I think the effects of all of that is just hyper vigilance. Like I didn't really feel safe. I was always on edge, on guard, like, and people pleasing is another effect, like feeling responsible for other people's emotions and feeling like I'm responsible for anything. Like it's my fault. I'm a bad person. And yeah.
It's interesting how you can articulate it so well, but that doesn't help very much, does it?
No.
What are you feeling now?
I feel like no, actually, like what I said about like the fanboying stuff. What I feel is like I feel like being seen in my vulnerability is like I feel like I'm feeling proud of myself, like, and it's like a form of self-acceptance to like put my face on the internet and like talk about these things which I've been terrified to talk about. So I feel kind of like feel like joy, a little bit of joy about myself,
Yeah,
for
I've been
myself.
wanting to tell you that I'm proud of you this whole time, but I was afraid that that would not work out well.
I'm feeling proud of myself. Like,
I'm proud of you.
thank you. Now I'm uncomfortable, but yeah,
Yeah. Why is that?
never been told that before.
And now you're checking, right? Making eye contact, making sure what is my facial expression saying? I saw that little glance.
Yeah.
You're in danger mode now, right?
Yes, this feels very scary right now.
Yeah. That's tough, man. Should we make a dick joke?
Sure. Love my dick jokes.
As do I. Hey, that's something we share. Um, you ready to hear this dick joke?
Sure.
My
Hit
dick.
me.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting, huh? So what's it like to have someone be proud of you?
Unfamiliar. Unfamiliar, unknown, danger.
Yeah, I see that. So I asked you a couple times what you were feeling, and actually what I saw in your face was like actually genuine positive emotion. It's a flash. Not that. That was different. But that there, we're getting a little bit better. That caught you, right? And it can be hard. It can be hard. And I think it's like you would say I don't know, and I think it's so interesting because what I'm hearing is you're very familiar with your negative feelings, but like positive ones are just there's touches of joy, like, and you've had to work so hard for each of those. What I think is honestly really, I don't think you are sad, but like what makes me sad hearing your story is how hard you've had to work for every slice of something positive in your life. That sounds incredibly unfair to me. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah. Um, it's exhausting. And I gaslight myself about it. But be
We're lagging for a second. Let me see if I
not
can.
feeling joy.
Oh, there we go. It looks like we're back. You were saying that you were the last thing that we caught was you were gaslighting yourself.
Yeah, gaslighting myself and that like I have like on paper I have a lot going for me in my life. So it's like I should feel happy, I should feel joy, I should like feel some like positive emotions and the fact that I don't makes me feel guilty. It's like I compare myself. I'm like people have it so much worse than me if they're happier and like that's part of that and I feel shame, I feel guilt for that that compounds the negative emotions and like yeah.
Yeah, I think. So I want to just share another thought that I kind of noticed. So when you started going to the gym, how did you feel about yourself?
I felt when I have self-discipline and I demonstrate self-love to myself, taking care of myself, it makes me feel good about myself because I'm showing myself that I'm worthy of taking care of. And but then there's that achiever thing that comes in, which is like, oh fuck, like I should be like I've gone to the gym like now like X amount of time and my body fat is still not this. And then that's like the shame comes in and I look around and I'll be like, fuck, like all these other people are like way better than me. Like and then it comes like, okay, let's fix this again. Let's get a personal trainer. And then it just gets into this like be better, let's do more and be more valuable, whatever. And that fucks it up. And but like the initial like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm packing my bags, I'm going to the gym, cool. But then when there's like outcomes and stuff, and I'm like shaming myself or like feeling guilty for not reaching these outcomes, these arbitrary things that I set for myself, then it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So, Ish, what I'm noticing is that when you're taking action, you can feel proud of yourself.
Mm.
But when you accomplish something, paradoxically, it seems to evoke shame. I don't think it's very paradoxical at all, but like that's what I'm hearing. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, it's almost like I can't be proud of the accomplishments, almost like don't register. I can't even
100%.
register them.
And what do you
Yeah,
think that does for your sense of self worth?
makes it worse.
Absolutely. So the reason, I mean, maybe I'm overshooting here a little bit, and I think that I'm really happy to hear that if there's complex PTSD involved and some of that other stuff, that you're seeing a therapist because I would work on this with them. But I just want to point out to you, like, what I see is that you take the W's in your life and you turn them into L's.
Yeah.
Like, that just ain't gonna work, man. There's no, you know, and this is where I can share some information. Like, any thoughts or reactions to that before I keep going?
Yeah, resonates.
And I think here's the real problem. Like, oh, do you actually? So let me ask you, how do you think someone does that? How does someone? How does that happen to someone's mind? And if you want to just think about your own life, that's you'll find an answer there. But if not, I just love to hear your thoughts before I share my perspective.
Um, I guess it's just I don't want to like stereotype or generalize, but like I guess Asian parenting, where it's just kind of like A minus. Why is that not an A plus?
Yep.
Do this. Like, why can't I came second in this national competition? Why don't you come first? Um, yeah, all these other kids are better than you. Um, like this cousin or that cousin is doing this and that. Like you're a piece of shit. Like in comparison. So it's just like I don't know. Nothing I ever do is ever going to be good for
Sure.
seeking the validation of the person, seeking the approval of the one person that I've wanted my whole life. It's never going to be enough. Uh, I could be like superhero and it still wouldn't be enough. I could be a philanthropist and a billionaire and blah blah blah. Still wouldn't be enough. There's still something else. So that's my guess.
Yeah. What are you feeling now?
I don't. Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay. So is it does it bother you that I keep asking you that question, and do you feel uncomfortable saying I don't know and like, oh my god, like I should know the answer?
yeah, it's like I should know the answer,
Yeah,
and
I
I
don't
feel
think you should.
dumb for not knowing.
Yeah, sorry. I just noticed that now I'm piecing things together. Um, I don't think you're dumb for not knowing.
Okay,
Can I please explain why?
sure.
So you beat yourself up, right? Random suicidal thoughts, lots of shame. What were you taught about yourself, Ish? When you were growing up, what did you learn about who you are?
I learned that I was ugly. My face is defected. I learned that I'm weird because I don't talk much. I don't say much. I learned that I was too sensitive. Um, I learned that I shouldn't trust people. I learned that money is everything. Like if I get money, then I'm gonna be okay in life. And friends are gonna betray you. People are gonna betray you. Um,
Did friends betray you, or you learned that from your parents that friends can't be trusted?
I learned that from my caregivers. Yeah.
They told you that friends can't be trusted. Okay.
Yep.
So, I mean, here's the thing, right? So, like, no one has ever expressed being proud of you, like for realsies.
The fact that I have to think so much about it probably says maybe somewhere, but I can't really remember many instances.
So, can I tell you what yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I do remember one time is well, I guess the only time in my childhood was when I achieved things is the only moment I felt someone was proud of me. And the first time was yeah, I won this like national competition of like web design, and I was like in the newspaper, the no local newspaper and stuff. And that was the first moment where I felt like someone was proud of me. And I learned that like in order to make people proud of me, I need to like achieve things. And that's the only way. I need to be the best. Otherwise, it's not good enough.
And who was proud of you?
My dad.
I'm gonna just need a second to digest that. Um, yeah. So here's what I'm hearing, Ish. I think so. Like, kids learn language, right? And did you grow up in a bilingual household?
Yes.
So do you mind if I ask what language was spoken at home?
English and Telugu.
Okay. So, like if you think about it, like how do you learn Telugu? Like it's just what's spoken at home, right?
Yes.
And so, but languages are not the only things that we learn. We also learn about ourselves. Like we're going to internalize whatever, you know, we're going to internalize like whatever we're taught about ourselves. So like kids, like I'm sure you've seen little kids that are entitled little POSs that think they're you know, the best thing that God ever created. And like, how do they learn to believe that? It's because that's what they're told. They're told that you have a different set of rules for you. All the other kids get one set of rules, but your daddy or mommy's little special boy, and you get a whole different set of rules where you get to break whatever rules you want to, and it's going to be okay because mommy and daddy are powerful, and we're going to protect you from consequences. And I think the reason that it's like pride makes you uncomfortable, or like other people, and this is where it's the fact that it was your dad is actually devastating because we don't really know, and we're not going to ask actually on purpose, because I think that goes a little bit. I mean, you can say if you want to, but I'm not trying to pressure you. But sometimes when you have a child who has a parent who they're trying to live up to, and there is one case of pride, that fucks the kid, because now they have like one opportunity that they have a North Star where they know this works, and they go chasing that thing over and over and over again. Oddly enough, what's actually bizarrely healthier in my experience is that if the parent has zero chances of, or if the abuser has a zero interaction of pride, then the child hopefully will find another human being, and then they'll get
Yes.
pride from somewhere else. But if you get it once, it's almost like more damaging, because then it's possible. Like you felt it
Yes.
before, and it feels so good, and that feeling is like, oh my God, it's everything you've ever wanted.
Yes.
Because if you could do that, then your self-worth would be good, right? Because like, and so I think what's kind of challenging here. So first of all, I don't think your dating problems have anything to do with anything except for, in a sense, you. I, I,
Yes.
I do think that, and that also I don't think is your fault. And I have a couple of thoughts for you about spirituality and stuff. But,
Mm.
you know, my first thought is like, you've got to be, you've got, I don't want to trigger the complex in you that says, I need to be better.
Mm.
Okay. So, like, that we have to be super careful about because that's actually like playing into a bad belief set. So, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, if you need to be better, that presumes that you're unacceptable in your current state. So, there are things that you can do and grow, but like, don't let that part of you that says, oh my God, I have to do this to be a decent human being. You're a decent human being already. You're a good dude. I think you have a lot. Like, can I tell you what I see?
Sure.
And pay attention to yourself, okay? And if you don't know how this makes you feel, ask yourself, is that a positive feeling? And I just don't recognize it
Okay.
because it's
Sure.
kind of unfamiliar, okay?
Okay.
So, first of all, I see someone who was born into very hard circumstances, may have had some advantages to be sure, but was really born in a place where they were like not loved very much. And I think that that's sad and I think that's unfair. I see someone who, despite all of the challenges of their upbringing, has through sweat, blood, and tears, like risen out of that and has done everything that the world has asked them to do. And I think it's incredibly sad that you can do all of the right things and still end up in the place that you are. And that's what feels the most unfair to me. And what I see is someone who's incredibly resilient. I see someone who's incredibly courageous. I see someone who, despite life taking every opportunity to beat you down, refuses to be beaten down. I see endurance, stamina. I don't see hope. But there's I don't know what's driving you. Maybe it's desperation. And most of all, I see someone who's incredibly tired and who I want nothing more for you than to be able to rest. I want nothing more for you than to be able to go on a date and not have to think about all that stuff. I want you to be able to go on a date and instead of asking yourself, how do I get this person to like me or notice me or love me or get laid? I would love it if you could go on a date and ask yourself, is this person right for me? Does this person deserve to date me? Do I want to be with this person? Most of all, I'm proud of you, dude. I think it's like, I'm proud of you and what you've
Thank you.
accomplished.
Thanks.
Can you stop saying thanks, by the way? Let's try again.
Wait, what do I say instead? I don't know what
You
to
don't
say.
say anything.
Okay.
So I want you to notice what thanks does to you. Okay, so we're going to try it twice. Little experiment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
first, I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
What did that do when you say that?
Mm,
Let's try
I don't
without.
know.
Maybe you'll notice the difference. I'm proud of you.
It's like sinking in more the second time.
Yeah, so I think you kind of like deflect it with the thanks because thanks is like you're closing it off. You're like moving on. Does that
Ah,
make
okay.
sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Because you're like that's actually like blocking the interaction. You're not like, and I know it's polite. I know you learned
Yeah.
how to do it, but what did it feel like hearing me say all that stuff?
Felt good.
In what way?
It felt validating.
Do you deserve? Do you deserve to be valid? Like validating also is like, is it real though?
Mm. It's starting to feel like I deserve it.
Do you deserve it?
Yes.
Is that your heart speaking or your head
That's my
speaking?
mind. That's my mind.
Yep. What does your heart say?
my heart is still there's like a whole construction site there with like walls everywhere. So
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So, do we need to get you to say yes? Do we need to have you believe that you deserve happiness?
No,
You're damn right we don't. Why not?
I don't have evidence for that yet.
Okay. Right answer, in my opinion, the wrong conclusion. I mean, sorry, the right conclusion, but the wrong reasoning. So here's why. So I think you're great the way you are. Even if you don't have evidence, like, I don't think you need to fix that. I think the biggest problem is that you don't need to fix really anything. I think you're great the way that you are. And I know that's going to sound foreign to you. Does it sound foreign?
You see, when I get into like phases of I guess self-care and like routine. So when I'm doing a lot of meditation and a lot of journaling and I'm like, doing things, chasing my passions and things like that, like I get into states where I do feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And however, it's like these phases are like 3 to 6 months at a time. And then like if I don't do like there's like 5 things I have to do every morning to feel like that. I feel worthy of love or feel self-compassion or self-love. If something slips and then the routine falls away, then I'm back to just self-loathing. So it's very fragile. But I do feel that and I have felt that. But it's like my understanding of it is like I'm just bypassing and I'm not like the phases where I feel amazing, it's like I'm just bypassing the root of like thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally understand that, and that's why, like, I know it sounds kind of bizarre, but like, this is so tricky ish because all of your effort is to get away from that thing,
Yeah.
but it's a part of you, and you just carry it with you,
Yes.
and so you can block it out for 3 6 months at a time, and I think honestly, like, this is where like real healing like has got to take place, but in your case, I think that healing is going to be hard because I think a big part of that healing is actually accepting that you don't need to be any different.
Yeah.
Right? You've been trying to fix something like over and over and over again, and and this is where, like you said, okay, I fixed everything externally. Now I need to fix it internally. Actually, you don't need to fix it internally because you ain't broken.
Yeah.
You're actually fine just the way that you are. Like, you suffer a little bit, sure, or you suffer a lot, sure, and that may sound kind of bizarre because here you are randomly having suicidal thoughts. How is this not broken? But that's just a piece of you. And it's kind of like, this is a really I can see why it's really hard for this to work because, or everything you've tried, quote unquote, hasn't worked because, bizarrely, like, the more that you try to fix it, the more that you reinforce the idea that you're broken.
Yes.
And so, bizarrely, like, it's really weird, but you got to kind of like say, like, okay, like, here's the thing. Okay, so if I say you're broken, how does that, you're broken ish. How does that sound?
Validating.
Okay. Now, here's the weird thing. I agree. You're busted. Like, fundamentally busted. Okay? I'm serious.
Yeah.
Here's the other wild thing. I think that's perfectly okay. I think you had some trauma growing up, and there's a piece of you that's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
I don't think it determines the rest of your life. I don't think that you need to fix it. I think it's just a consequence of your karma. And that it's not your fault, and it's actually not your responsibility to fix it. That what you should fix are the things that you want to fix, not what you should fix. How does that sit with you?
The thing with like the responsibility is like I do feel like it's part of my karma and I don't have resentment towards the person that like, you know, inflicted this pain onto me because I have empathy for the person and like I've worked on letting go of that resentment. because I feel like hurt people. So I know that, but then it's like I feel like what's happened has happened, and I've kind of made amends with the past, and but like I'm still carrying this like cannonball of like some scars or whatever. I feel like it's my responsibility to fix that, to like, and I guess healing is another thing. Maybe it's tricky to be like, is this another thing to fix? And that's what I'm confused about. Like,
Yeah.
because I go to therapy, if I go to therapy, and then I also do like spiritual practices and all these things, and is that like I'm trying to digest these unprocessed emotions through meditation and stuff, and is that not fixing another thing?
Yeah. So
Therapy not fixing as well?
yeah, your beautiful question. I think you're going to hate the answer. And unfortunately, I've got one for you.
Sure.
Does it need to be fixed? Absolutely. Do you need to heal ish? 100%. But it's not your responsibility.
Okay. So I can heal if I want to, but I don't.
Nope. You can't heal if you want to. Other people have to do it for you.
How?
It's a good question. How does that sound to you?
It sounds good because something that I've recently been able to do is like ask for help more than I've ever done in my whole life. And I'm proud of myself for that because it's very hard to do because I've been taught that I can't ask for help and I have to be hyper independent and fix everything myself. But I think other people helping me, yeah, like I mean, I'm talking to you and that's like I'm allowing you to help me as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to reading like 13 books on spirituality and trying to figure out myself. So yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think it's tricky, right? Because the biggest kind of scam that we tell ourselves. So like, who made you this way, Ish? Did you create this for yourself?
No,
So the biggest scam that we tell ourselves is when someone else does something to us that we're the ones who can fix it. And this is, I mean, it's not 100% true because there's a lot that you can do. But when I say there's a lot you can do, you've done it all,
yeah,
right? Like you've done
yeah.
your piece, bro.
I don't know what else to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and this is what's hard about life. And I think this is where like we see the end of what like personal development can do. I'm not saying stop doing yoga and like do your 5 things and all that kind of stuff by all means,
Yeah.
right? But I think there's this question of like I asked you some time ago, like who can you rely on, and like that's the problem because I think that at some point, like if someone else has taught you how to hate yourself, someone else really has to teach you how to love yourself. And that's what's so terrifying is like then it's out of our control. And that's also what's so liberating because you're damn right it's out of your control. So you can chill the fuck out.
Okay.
And you don't have to wake up every day and do your 5 things and go sign up for this course and go sign up for that course. Because when it's in your control, when you're the only one who you can rely on, like everything is on you. And you're looking for a relationship, but like you're a monolith. Like there's no mutual anything.
What do you mean by that? Monolith.
Like I think you're like you've got all these walls. Like you're a solo. You're like a pillar, and there's no. I would guess like not a whole. I know that you kind of like trauma bonded or maybe like shared a little bit too much, and there's like a very practical sense of people may not be ready for that. But I don't know if you something about this makes me feel like you're not really ready to be interdependent with someone.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that you can be very emotionally available. You can be someone's therapist. And there are times where you flip things around, where you open up too much and you dump on them. But I'm not hearing that you're ready to be interdependent.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be tough, but I think you should do it actually exactly. I'm optimistic for you. Like, I think you can heal. Like, I think work with that therapist. I think reaching out to the internet and having the internet answer your call is like, because you're deserving of help. Like, and you don't have to do it on your own. And like, I'm happy to hear you're starting to rely on other people, because I think that's when you're going to really feel like, because like one day you're going to think, oh, I don't deserve it. Thoughts, reflections, questions?
Yeah, so the thing with like being not ready for interdependence, it's become this thing was like, at what point am I ready? And not knowing that, because it's like, I guess if I look back on my life for the last, again, like maybe even 20 years, like all I've ever wanted was like a girlfriend, or like some kind of long-term committed, healthy relationship. And I guess like, at what point am I ready for that? And how do I determine that I'm ready for that? And the other part of the question is like relying on some, like being in a relationship wouldn't like allow somebody to support me or like love me in the way that I guess would make me feel like I'm worthy of help. Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part. Being in a relationship wouldn't allow someone to
I
love.
would allow somebody to like take care, like show
Yeah,
me
no,
affection and
bro,
show
you got
me
to
love.
find that relationship before you're ready for it. You
Okay.
can't, you
But then
can't,
you said,
you can't let readiness stop you from.
I'm not ready for interdependence. So I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
would I
yeah.
be ready?
Probably after you've become interdependent or after you found that person. I know it sounds kind of weird, but to be honest, like I think that when you're ready, and I don't know exactly what I mean by that. Like, I think you should continue dating, but I think try to, as best as you can, like be yourself. Like, work with that therapist, heal some of that trauma. Don't overly emotionally dump. But I think like really the main thing is like open yourself up to something without thinking about the outcome, right? And really like what I would, and I think this is plagued with problematic. So this is the least confident thing that I feel like good about. But I would say like if you want to go on a date, like really just try to. I know it sounds kind of generic, and I'm sure you've tried this before, but really just try to get to know someone and try to see like how does this person make me feel? What amount do I want to share? How do I feel about them? Because I think that there's a certain organicness which is going to be required. I don't think you're going to heal 100% and then be ready for a relationship. I think oftentimes the most impactful relationships happen when we're not ready. And that's where some amount of, like caution, control, but also like foolishness. Like, foolishness is an important part of every really successful relationship. I don't think you're being stupid enough, you know?
Yeah,
And and I think it's just you're trying so hard, dude. Like, just let them do some of the work.
true.
Let other people carry you, ish. Like, you've been carrying yourself for long enough, dude.
Yeah, there's definitely lightness. There's a playful side of me which is silly and sarcastic, and that's what I want to like engage with because it's
Mm-hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
But that's locked away as well. Trying to be,
Why is it locked away?
again, maybe I was just taught to like, that's it's not alpha, or like just some bullshit about some conditioning about what to say, what not to say, what kind of jokes to make. So it's like, again, like I said, there's a database of shit which is all bullshit that I'm like trying to delete row by row like every day. Like
Good. Yeah.
that's
I
yeah,
see your situation is actually like a lot more unlearning than learning,
yeah, it is.
including like the most important stuff to unlearn is all the traumatic shit.
Yeah.
And I think like because you're not, I don't see you being you. Sometimes you're you. I think you've learned how to, mine it, from time to time.
Yeah, I don't know who I am, like, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
and I think I've grown up like a social chameleon. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
can be whoever you want me to be. I
Yep.
can play characters. So finding out who I am, I don't know, it's the eternal question, but I don't
Just because you've asked it so far doesn't mean it's eternal.
know. Well, it's been the question, who
Are
am
you
I?
acting for us today?
No,
Yeah. I think we know you quite well.
I'm not acting today.
Yeah, I believe you. I think we've seen measures of it, but I think that you are showing the more positive side of yourself. You're taking some of those instinctive reactions and then turning them into what Dr. K and the community want to hear, which is like, yeah, I can love myself sometimes. Like, yeah, it's like honest. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of performance as well,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
I think, but we see that too. And I think we see through it too. But sometimes it can feel very hard for people to be seen through. Or is this hard for you today?
In what way?
Are you thinking that you're misplaying or like, oh my God, like I should have said this or I should have done this or I looked stupid here or sounded stupid there or I don't know the answers?
Like during me talking to you, not so much, but I think like leading up to this, and there was a lot of, because I've watched a lot of these interviews, there's a lot of like things I want to talk about, like blah blah blah, but it's like it's not being present, it's not being spontaneous, and that's what a conversation is. So,
Yeah. You're proud of yourself.
um,
I see that. That's very they're fucking water bottle.
yeah, nervous, yeah,
Yeah, right?
noticing this,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so I won't torture you much longer because like and that's like take the pride, take the love, and you eat it. You eat every last bite, ish. We're gonna give it to you.
Yep.
And no, I mean I think one thing I would recommend is like don't overthink this, dude. Like don't watch it again anytime soon. Like seriously, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Like give yourself at least a month. Like I'm really concerned about what your mind will do. You're going to pick up on all the wrong things. You're going to think, "Oh, I should answer this question differently." Like honestly, I'm not I'm very happy with today. You don't have to be. But how do you feel about today?
I feel good.
Do you have any questions or thoughts or reflections? Like I mean, we
Yeah,
still have
I
time,
guess
but
I guess just from a practical perspective moving forward, like what should I kind of focus on? I guess the main thing is like stop trying, let go, unlearning things. But in terms of like moving forward to uh, with my goal in mind, which is like, one day having kids or like being in a healthy, loving, committed relationship, how do I go from here? Like, and like, what does that kind of look like? I know that's a big question, but
no, it's a very big question, and I have a very what I think is a good but unsatisfying answer. You need to stop trying to go from here. That's the fucking problem.
okay.
Now, what does that look like? That's hard. But this is what I mean. It's like, yeah, like you're right, Ish. Like you've been like paying attention because you're Indian.
Yes.
You're a good Indian boy and you've been paying attention. You know what the right answer is, right? So you're like, how do I like go on from here? You try harder to not try. So you've spent your whole life trying to make other people happy, trying to make yourself happy. For the last 10 years, you've been growing and changing and moving on from here. I think you need to sit down for a little while. Stop trying. So trying is like good for a lot of things. It'll make you the money that it makes you. It'll get you the body that it gets you. it'll get you laid. But your strategy has been trying. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but like, sit with yourself and don't move on. Like, because you don't need to go anywhere. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but like, if you want those things in life, I'm not saying that if you sit around, they're going to happen, but like in your case, let them come to you. Okay. Like on a weird, I don't know, like morning show yoga pants wearing kind of way. Like you're like trying so hard to find a relationship that you're not letting a relationship find you. Mm. That's the kind of thing that like 10% of people out there will hear that and be like, oh my God, that's so profound. And like 90% of them will be like, what the fuck does that even mean? Mm-hmm. But I mean, seriously, like this is one of those situations where just like slow down, man. Like give yourself a month or 2 months, like continue going to therapy, continue with your routine, but stop trying so hard. Try to like be with yourself for a little bit. And the other practical thing is don't shut people down who are proud of you. Let people be proud of you. Let people express gratitude.
How do I, you know how you said like don't say thank you in that way? How do I like absorb that? Or like how do I take a compliment or like that kind of thing?
So this is going to be wild. So that's the right question, and you need to do something better. Okay, fine. So here's what I would ask them, can you help me understand that? So when they say like, Ish, I think you're an amazing human. Let's try. Okay. Ish, I think you're an amazing human being.
Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, I think that you've got a lot of advantages, and I think you've had a lot of hardships. And I think the fact that you're still on this earth is like, I can understand why that person wanted to be your friend and was inspired by you. Because I think you're the kind of person that inspires people. Like, she thought that, oh my God, if I get laid, this guy's going to move on. But like, I need this person to help me transform my own life. So that I can understand a lot. Because when a lot of people look at you, they see someone who's been able to transform their life. How's that?
It's good.
Right?
But isn't it just weird? Say nothing that's weird. Like,
yeah, it is. Something? It is fucking weird. Yeah. So you can by all means use thank you, but but I would pick and choose like who you want to say that with. But if you genuinely, because I think the other thing that happens is like it's really your way of shutting down the conversation. I think a part of you believes it, but a part of you doesn't. Right? When people like say nice things about you.
Yeah, there's paranoia.
Yeah, so and that's where like in that moment, I don't know if this is getting kind of very minute, but there's a lot of like shutting off of your mind or closing off of your mind when you say thank you.
Right.
And so what I encourage you to do, and it probably feels to you like, oh my God, I'm fishing for compliments. Right? Mm-hmm. If I like ask people to explain it. But like if you can do it with an open mind, really try to understand, because how the fuck can this person think this about me? And just ask them, can you help me understand that? It didn't seem to me like what I did was that significant.
Right.
And you can just own that piece and then like have them say something. And then like really try to listen to what they have to say.
Okay.
Does that help or
yeah.
not? Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Now what?
I don't know. I'm mind blank.
Okay. That's usually a good sign. Do you have other questions or thoughts?
I mean, I've got a million questions, but like I think I just don't need to. I've learned that knowing things is overrated, so I don't want to know anything. I don't want to do anything anymore. Just cuddle my cat and just do nothing.
I think that sounds fantastic. So that I mean, I hope you're not pretending to be what we want you to be, but I think that's a prime example of exactly what we're talking about. you've got a million questions, but you're not going to ask a single one because just be, right? Go cuddle your cat and like, I don't know what you're going to do for the rest of the day, but like go do something for you. Like exist and live and feel.
Yeah, I'm going to like an acting class, something that I've always wanted to do. I'm really excited for that, and I'm just doing this for myself. And yeah, it's gonna
Beautiful.
be other people there. So
I hear you. There are going to be other people there. Nice.
there's gonna be other people there, and maybe I'm like I get to perform in like an intentional way. I get to maybe I've been acting my whole life. Why not do it intentionally?
Yeah. Go and have a good time.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Listen, Ish, thank you very much from our
Thank you.
perspective. I really appreciate you posting. I don't know. I actually took, so this was kind of a funny story, but my team reached out to you separately from me.
Right.
And so I didn't know that they reached out to you, but I saw your post and I DM'd you real quick. I don't know if if you responded back. I don't know if I'm going to see that, but I think, you're deserving of help, dude, and you're going to get it. Like, you don't have to do it all yourself. Like, life is a multiplayer game, my dude. And good luck to you. And thank you for
Thank you.
coming on and being vulnerable and honest and sharing. I'm really happy to hear that you found a therapist that you're really working with. I think that eases my mind a lot. And I think that things are going to get easier for you pretty soon, is my honest hope and also belief. So take care, my dude.
Will do. Cheers.
Adios.
See you.
How do I click this? Oh. Okay, chat. So, thoughts? Questions? Yeah, man. So I think that's the thing, right? So this guy is struggling to connect. And this is the tricky thing. So we try so hard to connect with other people. And in doing so, we fail to connect with them. Because the harder that you try to connect to someone, the harder it actually becomes to connect. And so this is like what's so weird, right? Is like Ish comes on today and he's like, yeah, I have a lot of stuff to be proud of. And I've learned, and we can see, right? Like in his answers, I think his answers were pretty honest. He's like, sometimes he's worked so hard. He's like carved out positivity from like stone. Like it wasn't like cutting through paper. It was like he had to carve out each one of those answers. And he comes on here and he's like, yeah, I'm kind of like, I mean, I hope he wasn't BSing us too much because he's probably good enough to BS us if he wanted to. But I didn't get that. And if you really pay attention, I think one good thing to watch in this interview is, so one thing that we, in terms of communication training, is micro expressions. So if y'all want to watch again, Ish, if you're watching, no watching, okay, dude? You just let it be. We're done. You couldn't do it better. You don't need to learn from it more. Go cuddle your cat. But if y'all watch his expressions, and I think sometimes I would kind of put him on the spot, and I realized maybe a little bit too late, but I think some of what he was feeling and what's really confusing, because what confuses him, and this is true of a lot of people who have been like traumatized and also are very like functional, right? So like y'all work really hard and those negative emotions and you use those negative emotions as like fuel forward. But what really confuses people and scares them, I mean, if you listen to him, I'm like, are you feeling proud right now? And he's like, yeah, it's terrifying. Like that, he used the word terror. And we get so bewildered. And when we feel that terror because we've been taught that we shouldn't be proud of ourselves. And when you feel that terror, what it does is it engages all of these like adaptive mechanisms, which are generally speaking unhealthy or don't help you. So what I'm guessing may really happen with this guy is that he goes on dates and he does have some moments of genuine connection, but it just scares the shit out of him. And once it scares him, he like goes into some weird like mode. And then that shuts off the connection. So Iris Unknown is saying, Dr. K, I have diagnosed BPD and I was noticing BPD traits within Ish. Could y'all send him some DBT love or talk about it? That's something that we are not going to do. Your heart is in the right place. I'm confident that if he has a therapist that he connects with, your heart is in the right place, that they will work on that. And let's remember that complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder are very connected. So I think it's like, to a certain degree, it's like potato, potato. But your heart is in the right place, and I think that that's challenging. But this is good. So do I think his 50,000 was wasted, or do you think he actually got value from it? That's a question for him. I think the interview took a turn, which it usually does, which is okay. But my sense is that he got some value from all the stuff that he's done. But I think the tricky thing is like, there's even like, so this is what's hard is there's like a sequence of like self-improvement. There's like a formula for this. So first it's fix stuff on the outside. When you fix stuff on the outside, you'll discover that this doesn't work. Then you fix stuff on the inside. And you work on that for a while, and you'll actually discover that that doesn't work either. Then what you have to do, the final tier, is actually like pure transcendence, when you're like, actually, nothing needs to be fixed, and I'm fine the way that I am. And then if you think about it for a second, if you are actually fine the way that you are, then you are blissful. This is what enlightenment truly is. Like, and it's not that complicated. It's like, oh my God, I have to fix all this stuff. I have to fix all this stuff. When you actually let go of that and you're like, actually, this is okay. That's when you're blissful. Right? Think about the times in your life where you haven't needed to fix anything. How did you feel? And here's the wild thing. Stuff can still be broken, and you can still feel content. Right? So like, let's say you have a friend who like wants to queue up with you in a MOBA or FPS or whatever, and they suck. They're absolute trash. Y'all are getting crushed game after game after game after game. And you can still have a good time because you don't need to fix this. This is not your problem. This is just a consequence of the situation. Now, if you start mauling because y'all are losing games because you've got a noob on your team, then we understand that that is the opposite of enlightenment. That is attachment. Right? And so now here's the other subtle thing, but you're like, oh, but Dr. K, if you never need to fix anything, does that mean that your life gets broken? Absolutely not. Things can be broken and you don't need to fix it. That's what leads to detachment. Things can be broken and you can fix it. But what leads to suffering is the need to fix it. Do y'all understand that? So you can say, hey, this thing is broken, let me fix it. But if you need to fix it, then you're screwed. Does that make sense? This is very important. Right? So let's say that like a kid comes to you and says, oh my God, my little doll is like, it's wet. Oh my God, I dropped the doll in the toilet and it's wet. And now the doll is wet and it's ruined. You can see that problem. You can fix the problem. You're like, okay, let's wash the doll. Let's put the doll out in the sun and the problem is fixed. You can fix problems without being attached to them. It is the need to be fixed that is the problem. This just sounds like propaganda for inaction using half-truths. Very astute comment. It sounds like propaganda. And this is why I'm adding this last point. It is not propaganda for inaction. It is freedom to act the way that you want and not be controlled by what you need to do. You can, and this is exactly my point. There's the need to fix something. There is whether things are broken, and then there is fixing them. These are three completely different things. And you can still do these two without having this one. Right? There's like, and I'll give you all just a simple example. So let's say I'm driving down the street and I get a flat tire. I can maul about the flat tire, or I can be like, well, looks like I'm going to be late to dinner. There's nothing I can do about that. I should fix the flat tire because I want to go to dinner. But that need, I'm talking about the sort of psychological need, right? Of like, I need to fix this. I need to be better. I need to be smarter. I need to be richer. I need to be better looking. But does Ish need inaction? I think he needs the right kind of action, which I think he said he's going to do. So I'm fingers crossed hoping he's not telling us what he wanted to hear. My mind is blank. I'm going to go cuddle my cat, which is exactly what he needs. But you can change the tire anyway. That is my point. And so we probably have a YouTube video coming out about this in the next couple of days, maybe even tomorrow. I strongly recommend y'all check out that video. Because it talks about, this is the thing, is when DHL PLZ or whoever that person was, very astute comment. It's like, this sounds like propaganda for inaction. So we have a YouTube video coming out about the difference between detachment and apathy. They're two very different things. It's coming out either tomorrow or Monday. I forget. Maybe Tuesday or something. Do you think people should avoid dating until they love themselves first? So should is a tricky question. Is it wise to avoid dating until you learn how to love yourself? Absolutely. Should you wait? This is what people don't tell you, okay? Should you love yourself before you date? Yeah, sure. But practically, it is oftentimes through dating that you learn how to love yourself. And that may sound really bizarre because I'm out here dating and I hate myself more every day. What are you talking about? But this is the scam, dude. Other people will traumatize and bust us. And somewhere along the way, we heard from other people that you have to fix yourself. And this is the hard thing about being human, is like, if you could fix everything yourself, like, you would be fine. The real challenge is that sometimes, and I just got to be honest with y'all, like, I try to help a lot of people fix themselves. But I gotta say, the number of patients I've worked with who have been literally like kind of fixed by their partner, I fall into this category, by the way. Where I started dating, I wasn't ready to date. I wasn't ready for a relationship. Are you kidding? I couldn't pay my bills. I just learned a week ago that if you wash and dry towels with other laundry, that's how all the fuzz gets on your clothing. I was like, holy crap, my whole life, I'll pull stuff out of the dryer and it's like got all this lint and crap on it. It comes from the towels. I never knew that. This is mind blown. My whole life, I've been like, I need another lint roller. Yes, you can't wash towels with other clothes. That's why your clothing is linty. I wasn't ready. I didn't love myself. You know, and I was taught, it's kind of confusing, right? Like, but someone else taught me that, like, oh, this is what love is. And that's the truth, dude. Like, I hate to say it. Like, I wish it was cleaner. And then everyone's like, wait, so I'm supposed to go out there and just like roll the dice and RNG someone will like love me and teach me love? I'm not saying it's a great strategy. I'm saying it's what's worked for people before. So one thing that I do believe is that you should be careful about waiting to be ready before you do something. Because waiting to be ready is like the ultimate scam of the procrastinating mind. Where it's like, oh, we'll do it when we're ready. We'll do it when we're ready. We'll do it when we're ready. And you procrastinate and you procrastinate and you procrastinate. So I do think y'all should, consider dating even if you're not ready. But also, I think the real mistake is trying to fix things through dating. That's where, like, you should work on yourself and open yourself up to other people helping you. What do you work on yourself? I mean, that depends on you, right? Yeah, metta meditation is good. That's loving kindness meditation. How to stop needing. Now, this is a good question, Fallen Artorius. So this is where I think stop needing is not the right goal, IMO. This is what we want, right? Because needing something and not getting it is harmful. So I think the right thing is to be able to tolerate an unmet need. So this is where, the tolerance of discomfort is ultimately like the best strategy for like comfort in life. Because then you can only control how you respond to things. Because a lot of times the problem with needs is that you have to rely on other people for them. And this is what I see. It's like, how do I stop feeling anxiety? And it's like, that is the anxiety controlling you in and of itself, because your only solution is to stop feeling it. Now, that's somewhat of like a not very compassionate view, right? Because it sucks to feel anxiety. It's easy for me to say, I'm sitting here in my chair and I can say like, yeah, learn to tolerate anxiety. That is the way of the yoga mind. And then like someone else is having a panic attack. So so I'll say different things to someone in my office. We'll eventually get there, but you can't say that to someone in the moment. You need to help them reduce their anxiety to manageable levels, and then you can work on conquering it. But I think we're getting into like, what we're becoming as a society is like, we're kind of becoming a little soft. Where we're like, we just don't handle negativity very well anymore. Now, I don't think that's responsible for all of our problems, because I think the other thing that's paradoxically happening is the amount of negativity is actually legit increasing. So this is why things are so bad, because our tolerance is decreasing and the amount of negativity in the world is being amped up. So it's like, it's hard. So there was a study I saw recently, this is kind of interesting, that trigger warnings increase anxiety. Right? So everyone's like, I think heart is in the right place in terms of like trigger warnings. And I'm sure that, you should let people know what they're getting into. But there was a meta-analysis that looked at trigger warnings, which found that trigger warnings increase anxiety. And what they found is that not offering trigger warnings doesn't seem to damage people. And if you really think about it, like what they kind of alluded to is that if you like go to get a shot, let's say as a kid, from your doctor, your pediatrician, and your doctor's like, hey, this is going to hurt like hell, so protect yourself. And then they give you the shot, like it's going to hurt more. Yeah, so when people are saying, what about PTSD? So I think if you have, I'm not saying that. So this is what's interesting about the research is we're still kind of like learning about this. So there may be other aspects to it. So I don't think it is a good idea to go around traumatizing yourself by exposing yourself to triggers willy-nilly. At the same time, there is actually a treatment an evidence-based treatment for PTSD called exposure therapy. We heard Ish talk about it, right? Is gradually exposing yourself to things, which is what we actually do. And we use this not only in psychiatry, like we also use it in, for example, allergy shots. It's the mechanism of action through which allergy shots desensitize the body. So we know that desensitization requires repeated exposure. It can work for things like allergies, which if you think about it, like what is a trigger? A trigger is like an allergy of the mind, right? It's a hyperreaction. So I see people are asking questions about psychedelics. That's something you should definitely talk to a medical professional about, especially if they induce PTSD. And this is what's wild, is that some psychedelics in trials have been found to be beneficial for PTSD, but I have actually worked with a lot of people who have had PTSD from psychedelics. So I think it's like psychedelics is just playing with fire. How do you learn to tolerate anxiety? That's a very good question. So we have a lot of this kind of stuff in Dr. K's guide. Like we have a guide to anxiety where we will teach you how to do that, hopefully. So there's different meditation techniques and stuff like that. I think the key thing to understand about the tolerance of anxiety is what happens to your anxiety when you give into it. So if I feel anxious about going to a party and I don't go to the party, what actually happens to my anxiety? I've now given into it once, and chances are it will actually become stronger the next time around. So this is what's really hard about anxiety. And in a nutshell, so now even if you say that's true, it's hard to like just conquer anxiety, right? So this is where the way to learn how to tolerate anxiety is you got to win the smallest battle you can. We're not saying win the big ones. There's going to be some small thing that induces anxiety. And unless you absolutely need to give in, you have to sort of try to tolerate that. So the problem that people run into with anxiety is they think about the worst anxieties they have, and these are the ones that I need to conquer. You don't need to conquer the worst ones. You need to conquer the weakest ones. And that's what really works. And so then like your mind like levels up, right? Your anxiety tolerance increases. Yeah, so can I, I'm going to do some research on tolerance to negativity. Jubinet says, once you conquer the weakest, you can go to the harder ones. What a good question. So here's the wild thing. Actually, no. Because once you conquer the weakest ones, what you have next is a new weakest one. You don't go up, they move down. So all you do is just keep conquering the weakest anxieties, and you will conquer the hardest one. See, this is what the anxious mind does to trick you into not trying. It says, so if you say conquer the weakest, but that won't be enough, how am I going to conquer the harder one, right? That's what it tells you. It says, like, what's the point of this? Like, we're not going to be able to climb that mountain. And then you don't conquer a single one. Because conquering the weakest one, how does that help? So let me ask you, chat. How does taking the first step help you climb a mountain? What do you have to do after you take one step? Literally, how do you climb a mountain? Does one step do anything? Conquering anxiety is the same way. Just one step. That's all you need. Yeah. So Snaps is saying take a helicopter. I know that sounds funny, but a lot of people do that, right? We have ways of, sometimes what I'll do with patients, not nowadays, is we'll put them on a helicopter ride. And what does that mean in terms of anxiety? It's like, hey, let's give you some IV Ativan. That'll fix things right up. Benzos, baby. Well done, Matty Booba. Not just benzos, IV benzos. But there are some times when people need a helicopter. And that's okay, right? But the key thing is that, sure, like I'll give people IV Ativan when they're inpatient or in the emergency room and like high on cocaine and hallucinating and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you need an airlift to the top of the mountain. And then, right? But there's like dire circumstances, dire things. And then over time, it's like, okay, for the next week that you're hospitalized here, MGH or wherever, we're going to I'm also going to teach you meditation. I'm not going to do it on day 2. I'm going to wait till like day 3 or 4 and check and see if people need it. And they're like, okay, so then like after you get discharged, I want you to come back to my office once a week and then we're going to continue working on things. And then it's going to be oral lorazepam, and then we're going to taper your oral lorazepam, and then we may start you on an SSRI. And if you stick with this for a year or 18 months, you'll actually be in good shape. Right? That can happen. Congrats on conquering your fear. Now we skydive. For Watashi no Tomodachi is saying I'm scared of meds. You should be. Meds are scary things. What is considered a weak anxiety? That's for you to answer, right? For some people, a weak anxiety is I have a mild fear of dogs. For other people, a fear of dogs is a huge anxiety. And that's where I'd say if you want to understand what a weak anxiety is, what's the thing that you can actually handle but you really don't want to and is kind of uncomfortable? That's what I would say is a weak anxiety. Something that you can do but you don't enjoy doing and you prefer not to. And you keep doing that until you're good at it. Is it okay to be a loser? Sure. Why not? I was a loser for like a decade of my life or more. Yeah, Lawler Skates is saying living gives me anxiety. I know I detect both a joke and a kernel of truth in that. And that's where I'd say, like, I think the advice still applies, right? Not medical advice. If y'all have an anxiety disorder, go see a licensed professional. But seriously, like, just live in small segments, right? So live a little bit today, live a little bit more tomorrow, and like that's how you do it. Try to find what joy you can. That's too funny. That sounds like a military position in a dystopian novel. Okay, how do you live a little today? Let's meditate. Let's find out. So I'm going to teach y'all how to live a little bit today. We're going to integrate a couple of things that we learned today. So this is going to be a meditation about how to live a little bit today and how to tolerate anxiety. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. I want y'all to pick a position in which your back is straight and neck is straight. And what we're going to do is close our eyes and meditate. So when y'all are ready, so assume the position. You're in bed is fine. Your back needs to be straight. Neck needs to be straight. That's the important thing. You can do it laying down. Pick a position, okay? Okay, go pee and go eat if you need to. Okay. Herdo Dirdo is saying, my body is ready. That's exactly what I like to hear. Herdo Dirdo. You can plank if you want to. I wouldn't advise it. So now what we're going to do is close our eyes and be still. Relax. So with each inhalation, you notice your body kind of rise up a little bit. And with each exhalation, relax. And now what I want you to do is be still. Don't move. And the first phase will be the tolerance of negativity. So for now, things are fine. You may notice a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of itchiness, a desire to move. And breathe through that. And as we continue, you'll notice perhaps more discomfort, more of a desire to move, and go on tolerating. And we'll do this for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. No movement. Not a twitch of the finger. No scratching the nose. As I give a duration, notice how your mind rebels. Oh my God. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that's too much. I didn't sign up for that. And now notice how this is the expectation of discomfort. And notice how powerful the mind is, as it expects discomfort. The resistance that you feel isn't even based on reality. It's based on an expectation of the mind. And notice now how powerful it is. How your whole life is controlled by the hypotheses of the mind. What will they think? What will they say? What will they do? What will I do? How will I be able to handle it? Continue to sit perfectly still or lay down perfectly still. Don't move a muscle. And you'll notice that the one thing you have to do is breathe. And as the sensations from your body become more powerful, as your mind protests more, breathe. Inhale and exhale. Find a relief in this, an escape of sorts. And now your mind may be saying, this is taking too long. I have things to do. Notice how the mind now uses a different tactic to deviate you away from this. It's tried anxiety. Now it'll try something else. Practicality. But notice what's driving the mind. A desire to move, be free from this. The more uncomfortable you feel, the more the mind will activate. But you are in control, not your mind. And you will stay seated, laying down, not moving. And whatsoever your body tells you, whatsoever your mind tells you, find refuge within yourself. Notice that the sensations will pass and that you can breathe. And notice how good the breath feels. How fresh, how invigorating, how the breath can become a refuge. And in this moment, notice all the uncomfortable sensations, all the anxious thoughts, all the chatter of the mind. And these are like waves crashing against a fortress at the edge of the ocean. And that fortress is your breath. No matter how bad things get, focus on the breath and you'll feel relief. And now we'll engage in powerful breathing. So instead of letting the breath be a refuge, we're going to extend the breath to all parts of our body. And as you take a deep breath in, let it fill you with air. And exhale. And notice that with each big breath, it dispels the sensations of the body. Deep and slow. And with each breath, the worries of the mind start to recede. You can expand outward. Slow down now, especially if you're lightheaded. And notice what you've done. For these past few minutes, your body and mind have been making demands of you. And not only have you not given in, you found solace, peace, even vigor. This experience has been intense. This is what it means to live. To experience everything that the physical and mental world have to offer, not to retreat from those things, but to let them come. For you to find a place of solace, your inner fortress, and then expand it outward. And now we're going to take 3 final breaths and end the practice. Now on to breath 2. And now on to breath 3. And now as we end the practice, we'll start by opening our eyes. And now, notice that your body is listening. There may be aches, there may be itches, but it's more compliant. And now you can let it move. So, well, a wordness saying that was super intense emotionally, wasn't expecting that, Jesus. My body wasn't ready. You're right. It wasn't ready. But it is now. So you want to know how to live? This is how you live. Well, what did we do? Close our eyes for a few minutes and breathe. Is that living? No, that's boring, Dr. K. That was a struggle. What were you doing? You were sitting there with your eyes closed. What a struggle. This is my point precisely, and this is what y'all have to understand. This is what meditation teaches, and most people miss it. Every aspect of life can be intense. You don't have to give in to the things that hurt. You don't have to let them control you. You can find that strength in here. Is it weird that it wasn't a struggle for you? No, not at all. Right? And this is the thing, but are you escaping into the breath? No, dude. The breath is the staging platform for the war that we are going to wage, in which we conquer life. So living is about like existing. You know, some time ago I went to Iceland. And Iceland is a cool country. And they do this thing where you go into a sauna where it's really, really, really hot. Then you jump into a pool of ice cold water where it's really, really, really cold. So if you kind of think about it, like these things seem bad, right? Because most of the time we want climate control. But the thing is, like when we embrace those extremes, like when you embrace it with intentionality, like there's nothing to fear. Like there's absolutely a lot to fear when your mind is like, oh my God, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, right? But the whole problem is that we've started letting our bodies and our minds control us. We think that because the mind believes something, it is true. We think that thoughts are facts. But this is the challenge, and the more powerful the emotions are, the more true we believe them to be. But paradoxically, the more powerful the emotions are, the less true that they can be. So Thigikna is saying, I could not do that. LMAO, I am very sensitive to temperature. Well, you haven't been able to do it. Not saying it's easy, but you may be able to. Okay. James Red is saying, Dr. K, I just bought the ADHD guide and it's genuinely amazing. The information and how it's presented is so thoughtful and high quality. Thank you so much. I'm glad, James. That's why we made it. I think the real struggle that we've had with helping people is that the deeper we go into a topic, the more people we lose. And so we've been struggling to figure out, how can you get past preliminary things to advance things? And like, that's the problem, is the more advanced you go, the more people you leave behind, because not everyone has watched everything before, right? That's the challenge with something like a Twitch stream, is that people are coming and going all the time. So if we're explaining a very advanced topic, how do we do that without losing a greater fraction of the audience? And this problem, by the way, grows with time, right? So if I want to do an 8-hour something, the longer it is, the fewer people will be able to pay attention, right? Because people have stuff to do, they're in and out and things like that. So yeah, and so that's why we have the guide, and people are like, well, why don't you stream the guide? Well, because it just wouldn't work well. We've tried that before. And what we tend to find is that the further we go, the less helpful it is. Yeah, or they have ADHD, which, Iris Unknown, you're correct. And that's why, like, having an on-demand thing that you can choose what you're interested in and watch it at your pace and even speed it up. I think you can watch it at like 1.5 is like totally fine. You do you. We get that, right? I don't know anything about ad breaks. I haven't run an ad break in like close to 2 years. Right? So, I mean, we've talked to our partner managers and whatnot about how to generate revenue on the channel. I mean, we may do that at some point, but I'm sure that y'all get ads here and there, but, you know, this is where we're just grateful for whatever support. Like, we're not, you know, if you guys sub and donate and whatnot, like, that's fantastic. We're going to use all of that money to try to, just so y'all understand, everything that we make from stream goes into building stuff for stream and YouTube, etc. So even our YouTube ad revenue all goes to fund editors and whatnot. And so we'll put it back into it, and thank you for that. And just so y'all know, when you do something like when you buy Dr. K's guide, where does that money go? That money goes to build more guides. So thank you very much, Summerstorm, for the support. And like, that's the thing, is like, the more we have to work with, the more we can build. So thank you guys very much for all the support. We appreciate all the subs and donations and whatnot. But like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying we won't run ads at some point, or maybe have, you know, some kind of betting or gambling sponsorship at some point if we really need it. And sometimes we get pretty lucrative sponsorship offers, let me tell you what. But it's just not, you know, that's okay. We don't have to be bigger. We don't have to make more money. We don't have to, we can just do less. Like, that's okay. We're going to do it the right way. And on that note, that's why we offer something like coaching, because that's something that we believe in and can help people. And this is really cool. So I discovered this recently. We now have coaching clients from 119 countries. So we're legit helping people in Swaziland, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela now. So there are a few, actually, I know this sounds kind of weird, but there are a few times in HG where I've felt really proud of the work that I'm doing. Like, honestly, I don't feel very proud of much of what I do. I understand that it's impactful and stuff, and that's great. Like, I'm happy, but I don't feel proud. This was one of the few times that I felt super proud of like what we've built. Like pride was the dominant feeling. Usually it's like gratitude and duty and even love and stuff will feel a lot. Like I feel a lot of like happiness about the community and stuff, but I won't feel proud. But that's really how I felt, because in my like we started this to help people. And in my wildest dreams, I would have never imagined that we would have helped someone in like Zimbabwe, or like, I don't know if we have a client in Ethiopia, but that's awesome. I mean, we started this because people need help, and like, it's too slow. I mean, we heard it from Ish today. Guys on a waiting list for 8 months. And so we'd love to offer therapy, and we may do that one day, but the truth of the matter is, I recently saw a study, I don't know if you guys saw this, it's been making the rounds, that twice a week running therapy, which, by the way, running therapy is when you get together in a group and you run twice a week, is not inferior to medication, or may even outperform antidepressant medication for improvements in depression. Running therapy. TM. Trademarked and patented by, I don't know, GlaxoSmithKline. What, you're teaching running therapy? You're teaching people how to run? We own that. You cannot do that anymore. But so this is the thing, is like mental health is a lot more than the treatment of mental illness. And so we started this organization to try to like help people. And that's what we do. And maybe one day we'll do an exercise stream. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, there's a social interaction component, and there's a cardiovascular component. There's probably a brain component, blood flow component. What do you think about a Dr. K's guide for careers? I think it's a good idea. This is where we do have a career coaching program. So like we have a lot of career-based expertise, and this may sound kind of weird, but why would that come first? So there are a couple reasons why we do coaching sometimes before a guide. So the first is, with coaching, we have a better support infrastructure. So I and Ethan Evans will meet with all of our career coaches to discuss their clients and help our coaches help their clients. Then what we do is we synthesize all of that data, and there may be a distillation of that at some point that we can make more available. But the career coaching is going really well. So people tend to be pretty happy, and we see some pretty big, noticeable like gains. So that's good. But absolutely, it's something that we're looking into. If y'all have like particular career, like we've done a couple of career interviews, which I think have gone really well. So if y'all have like people that, or you're a community member and you want to talk career stuff, like we can absolutely do that. Use the link to sign up for stream. Yeah. He's the Amazon guy. Jay Shadow, I don't know what Satipatthana meditation is, but it's closer to actually something called Kaya Shtiram, but it has a different take on it that I'll do. Thank you very much, Wolf Hands. I appreciate you too. All right, Tech Teller, who are we going to raid? I can't raid anyone. So either we're going to have to shut off stream, or any plans to have a workshop in Texas? Plans? No. Dreams, aspirations, hopes? 100%. Workshop workshop with I would love to do like more in-person stuff, Chad. The problem is that once again, like this is where like workshop stuff would be fantastic. I would love it personally. I hate, or I not, don't hate, but I miss IRL teaching. So I don't do a whole lot of that anymore. Occasionally I'll like, I taught like some class virtually at Berkeley like this past year. And so occasionally I'll do like teaching things here and there. I went, you know, I'll give talks and stuff at conferences and workshops and all that good stuff, sometimes for companies. But I miss the IRL teaching. The problem is that if we think about really what's our mission is to help people who can't get help otherwise, right? And so if we had focused on workshops, like I don't know that we'd ever been able to help someone in Zimbabwe. But would I love it? 100%. I'm there. Okay, who are we rating? Do it, Tech Teller. How much do you need to fund it? Fund what? A workshop? Could you ever be a guru? I try very hard to not be a guru. I try my level best. It's a real struggle sometimes. How much money per workshop? Y'all tell me. What do y'all think? I mean, so this is where it's like simple, right? So depending on what y'all can afford, that can help us understand what resources we have available, and then we can reverse engineer, right? So our approach is not, hey, we're going to build something and try to sell it to you. Our approach is, what do y'all need and what are the resources available, and we will build it. And the truth of the matter is that part of the reason that we emphasize Twitch streaming and YouTube and stuff like that is because most people can't pay anything, especially in this economy. So then the question is, okay, so people can't pay stuff, like what do we do? Well, we're just going to build stuff, as much stuff as we can for free. Right? Which is okay. That's what YouTube is for. YouTube makes money. We make some money, I'm sure. But that's, I mean, Hanitsuki is saying I can't afford anything. Like, that's the truth for most people. And so then what? Does that mean y'all don't get help? Absolutely not. Touch grass, right in the fields, social sandbox, YouTube videos, Twitch streaming. Right? And for those of y'all that can afford something, thank you very much. Because when we get money, we can continue to build things for people who can't afford stuff. Okay, are we rating? Go, 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 go. You got to click the button. Yeah.